Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am Darren. I'm your host today, and we'll be discussing the importance of fit testing. Before we begin, I know we've got a few more people waiting to join, so I'll just fill up a little bit of time. I hope you enjoy this presentation because there are those of you out there that are either thinking of fit testing, those that are delivering it already and want to know a little bit more behind the background. And also, it's important that if you want to become a fit tester, if you want to become qualified, then JSP can help you to do that. We offer two courses here. They are BSIF Fit to Fit accredited. So me and a few others that will join the training will get your person to the level that they need to be to sit the assessment. Now, the assessment will be 2 hours with a assessor from BSI Fit to Fit and a written exam of 30 minutes, which is multi-choice. And the good thing is, if you were to join JSP for those two courses, whether it be qualitative or quantitative, that I have a good selection of those that will pass. I think in 30 students, I've had one failure, but you'll be with me for 3 or 4 days, depending on what course it is. And I wish you luck because I certainly enjoy the course and delivering fit testing. Good. I think we'll begin now. We've got everyone here. I'll just wait for the presentation to be shown and then I can use my clicker and continue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Again, my name is Darren. I'm your host today. And today we'll be discussing the importance of face fit testing. And I hope you learn a lot from today. I'm one of these people that likes to put a wealth of information on my slides. Sometimes there are other presenters that put their work on slides, and yet a lot of their stuff is hidden, and then you try and find it when you find the video. But I like to put stuff on there, so my slides can be a bit busy. So before we get deep into this presentation, I think it's worth just stepping back and just taking stock of what is a face fit test. And as you can see, I provided you some details there of what is a face fit test. Because it's important for that person that they're fitted correctly and it's sized correctly, and that the tight fitting respirator fits all the fatty tissues of their face, because they're not providing that protection upon the fatty tissues of the face. There's a good chance of ingress, of leakage, and that's what we're trying to stop, is to make sure the well-being and health of that individual is being looked after by their employer, because it's the employer's responsibility to make sure that their boys and girls are fit tested. It's legal and it's a compliance requirement. It's law. So a few images there for you to see of fit testing, how it's conducted. This presentation won't deliver that because this presentation is about the importance of fit testing. So fit testing, you've got to remember that a poor respirator, fitting respirator that has no maintenance or very poor maintenance will reduce protection of that wearer. And this is what we're trying to stop, because it will have immediate or long-term health concerns to that individual. And if you didn't know, it's a legal requirement, because we must reduce harm in the workplace, the person that's wearing the respiratory protection. The purpose and aim I've put in front of you, but at the end of the day, we've got to make sure that the respirator fits the specific make, model and size, because everyone will be different. My face is different from many other people. There are people with acne, there are people with scars, there are people with jewelry on their face, and there are all sorts of people from all walks of life that will have smaller, larger, thinner faces. And so as a fit tester, it's their job or my job to make sure I fit and find that adequate and suitable protection of their respirator. And you've got to remember, if an individual uses more than one type of respirator, then each type must be fit tested separately. It's no good saying, oh, I've passed on this one, but I don't wear this one that often. Even that one not often needs to be fit tested to make sure it's compliant and fit for purpose. So some key points before we dive deep now. Remember, or try to remember, that fit testing is mandatory for all tight fitting respirators. And what I mean by tight is you can think of a full face military style respirator, a reusable half mask that can be a rubber half mask, and also you can have a disposal on an FFP1, 2 and 3. So they're your tight fitting respirators. Loose fitting respirators do not need to be face fit tested. So those loose respirators, I've got some images below for you, are those that don't have a tight seal. They're very comfortable wear, and usually therefore those that are not keen to shave or unwilling to shave or have neatly trimmed, well-groomed beards. So those products in the center at the bottom there are loose fitting respirators that do not need to be face fit tested. The test on those products will be from a flow gauge, which when you read the manufacturer's instructions, you place the flow gauge on the flow and whatever that means they have to measure of a fully charged battery and the flow. If it passes, you're good to go. However, in tight fitting, it's a little bit different where we need to be face fit tested on. I would like to say if it was annual or if it was every 2 years, that will be the employer's responsibility to identify how often your boys and girls are to be fit tested. So to continue the benefits of face fit testing, the good thing is about the machine here, this one is the quantitative method, and it is excellent to identify poor fitting respirators. And so is the other method down here, which is the qualitative, because both methods are used to assess the respirator. So it's important that me and others are skilled and regimented in delivering this, and those wearers also need to be skilled and regimented in their donning processes. Because it's a bit like an MOT, your car may pass on the day of the MOT, but certainly with good care and husbandry, then that car will continue, and so will your mask continue to deliver that peace of mind that you require. So fit testing also identifies unsuitable face pieces that should not be used, and it can be used as an education tool. So I know most employers want their boys and girls to get through as quickly as possible because there's work to be done. And so for someone like me, I like to see that when I come into a working premises, that there have been toolbox talks, that the boys and girls are the best at what they do. And so I don't have to deliver a training because my job should be fit testing. But I will deliver training if I see someone that is maybe showing signs of anxiety or has maybe a respirator that I need to investigate further. So there are benefits of getting those fit testing people in or having people in your own workplace that are qualified to deliver face fit testing. So to continue why it's important that the respirator is sized and fitted and functional. It's important that you, the employer, because there is compliance with the law, that if you follow approved codes of practices, and this supports the COSHH, the Control of Substance Hazardous Health, that these two documents are there for law and they're written because there is a duty of care by the employer that the RPE must reduce exposure as low as reasonably practical. So earlier on, I discussed about problems, and fit testing will identify those problems. Hopefully someone like me, the fit tester, whoever you have organised to come in, who's competent enough to deliver face fit testing, will identify such concerns as acne on persons that maybe the fit of the respirator won't be suitable enough, someone with facial hair, someone who hasn't shaved, someone who's told you they're shaved, but maybe that was less than or more than 8 hours ago, or certainly 16 hours ago. So there are things in place that a fit tester will ask what I call policeman questions. These are stop or go questions to allow the fit test to continue. And I won't cover those here today. Remember that this is a legal and regulatory compliance. It's in law, it's in standards, it's in policies, it's in regulations, and it's governments. As it's enhancing employee confidence and morale for the employer to make sure their boys and girls are face fit tested to show that that mask is confident and shows integrity in the workplace and the person is protected. So let's look at compliance. I've gone to the HSE website here, and hopefully many of you go to this website for lots of guidance or anything that you require to know about anything. Because when you Google something, something can be quite wild and extreme at what you're trying to Google, but how do you know it's correct? If you do go to the HSE website, simply plug in HSE in the bar and then look for the guidance. Because whatever you're doing in your occupation, if it deserves a respirator, it'll be mentioned in such guidances. And I've written a little bit behind the red tab shown here of the approved codes of practices. So the approved codes of practice is really a bridge that's joining to the COSHH. If you were to inquire about the COSHH, Control of Substance Hazards to Health, the COSHH is taken from the ACOP, the Approved Codes of Practices, and I've taken a couple of pages here to suit this slide. And on your left-hand side, I've given a couple of ticks, of green ticks, of buzzwords that as a fit tester, as an employer, as an employee, these are important to you to know that I've, let's say, chosen or identified a respirator that is suitable or adequate. And the COSHH that I have in front of you with certain phrases I have raised in square blocks, you can see that approved codes of practices is legally binding, it's significant. And it's how to comply with Health and Safety Regulations Act 1974. Everything's there for you. You won't miss it. It's an easy read too. So just because I've shown you the COSHH, COSHH also covers the bullet points below, the control of lead at work, confined space regulations, control of asbestos regulations, ionizing radiation regulations. Just because your workplace practice isn't mentioned in these bullet points doesn't mean that you will miss or should be denied face fit testing. If your workplace deserves a respirator, your health and safety professionals would have identified that in many things by looking maybe at their MSDSs or having air surveillance, air monitoring survey teams come in and hang stuff from the ceiling, put stuff on the counter, and within a day or two, they can raise a report to tell you the type of respirator that you require, the filter that you require. The hardship is that if you are prosecuted for the breach of health and safety law, and it's proved that you did not follow the relevant provisions of the code, you will need to show that you complied with the law. I just need to move that way in some other way, or the court will find you at fault. It's very important, fit testing. The importance of fit testing is so high to comply with the law. Briefly, I discussed the MSDS, Materials Safety Data Sheet, and here I've put in yellow that MSDS is worth its weight in gold for the employee and the employer, for the health and safety professional, because whatever material substance I'm used in anger in the workplace that I need, or your boys and girls need protection from, if you look at section 8.2, example in front of you, section 8.2 will also mention on a good MSDS is fit test, and I've highlighted that for you. And also, if you look at the document in front of you, the safety data sheet, it will identify the filter type and respirator type. So this is pure gold for anyone that's a health and safety professional. Look at your material safety data sheets, substance data sheets, and look at section 8.2. There are 16 points on MSDS, and section 8.2 is that of respiratory, but the rest of it is gold too. So let's get these up. Okay. So I've started with the bottom right-hand corner hierarchy of controls, and many of you have probably seen that or discussed that, because when it comes to engineering controls, my final and last bullet point here, obviously we're trying to eliminate those hazards, because at the bottom of that tree or that upside down triangle is PPE, and PPE really should be seen as the last resort, not the first. But the rest of the bullet points above that still come into play. We have to make sure that it's fit tested by a competent person, that we understand that when we've completed the fit test and there's a pass, that pass is suitable enough. And we've got to ensure that the employer has documented evidence that supports they have identified and chosen the correct respirator for the hazard in the workplace. When your person comes to be fit tested, they won't be just fit tested with their mask worn. They'll also have their other supporting PPE that will be worn during their respirator wear. So they could be wearing a safety helmet, safety goggles, ear defenders, and a good fit tester will make sure that when your person is being put through the fit test, they will be wearing above the neck PPE, because we've got to make sure that PPE is compatible. So for instance, if I was wearing a high collar tunic and someone called me in a high collar tunic and I turn my head to one side and the mask is moved from my face, then that is a compromise. That is compromising someone's health. And so the fit test, whoever's delivering that, a competent person, will make sure that to ask the wearer before we begin to make sure they wear their PPE that above the neck. Resources. So where do you find resources on fit testing? It's very easy. The HSE, you can find that we discussed earlier, and also on the Fit2Fit website, and I've given you the link above. So there are official documents out there that support best practice, not only for the fit tester, but also very good information for the employer. And it's and these two documents are called the INDG 479. And so INDG stands for Industrial Guidance. I can't tell you what the 479 is, I do apologise. But these documents are designed to support and maintain high standards for the industry and for the fit tester. And what I've done with these two documents here, you understand there's qualitative on the left-hand side as I'm looking at the slide, and right-hand side I've got quantitative, and they're the machines there that I've put with a split line down the middle of those two documents. So the key points, you have documentation to refer to, and these are not heavy documents. I'm going to mention the HSG 53. If you're a health and safety professional, you'll need the guidance that I've just shown you there, the INDG 479. I'd also propose that you look to download the HSG 53. Two brilliant documents that even for people that have to engage with me because they have a question, I always refer and cut and paste from the documents that I've suggested there. Remember, the documents, the HSG 53 and the INDG, are there to support the competence and consistency of face fit testing practices. These documents are updated regularly, and they can be found on the Fit2Fit website, and that will include the HSG 53. The good thing is they can be browsed by anyone, and they're not heavy documents. There's lots of wonderful pictures, especially in the HSG 53. And so if you want to drill down on something that you don't quite understand, remember you can use Control F to put a buzzword into that box, and then the buzzword will show you a number of times that word is raised. And so you can peruse and browse that document very easy indeed. What gets lost in translation is on the occasions when my boys and girls should be fit tested in the workplace. Don't think that a fit test of one mask is enough, because you know already that I've told you that if someone is using an alternative or other method of tight fit and respirator, for maybe on a Tuesday he wears a full face, but for the rest of the week he wears a half mask. And maybe he comes on weekends to earn some extra money and wears a disposable for, let's say, a lesser task that doesn't deserve a half mask or a full face. So the occasions I've put in front of you are to be annotated by the employer to make sure that you cover everyone and you embrace everyone in the workplace, because the fit test is done on the initial selection. So that means when someone joins your company, they're given toolbox talks, they're given the introduction to the company. And so before they get to go onto the machine that needs a respirator to be worn, that is done on initial selection. So no one goes to work without being fit tested. We've discussed untested face pieces that are already in use. A person may have another mask that also needs to be fit tested. Remember, as the employer, you also have a policy. So make sure your risk assessments or your standing operational procedures are written. So if any visiting authorities were to look at it, you have the gold standard written to know when you will adopt face fit testing on the occasions I've put in front of you. RPs to be worn when worn frequently, especially for exposure control. I can talk about asbestos, silica. There's so much out there that we must look after one another. And if you're not strong enough, you must put up your hand and tell someone if something is wrong in the workplace. Another time we should be fit testing is a change of PPE. And I talked about fit testing the person wearing the respirator and above the neck PPE. If that PPE changes, let's say that person who wears a respirator has now changed his safety spectacles or his safety goggles or his ear defenders for another make and model of ear defender, spectral or goggle, there will require another fit test, because it must be the change that you've made must be identified as compatible with the respirator that that boy or girl is wearing. And if you suspect compromise to face fit testing, then you may have to face fit test again. There are people that, let's say, wear dentures, and as soon as those dentures are taken out, their face drops, or certainly the gums and face will drop a little bit. And so if you're fit testing, then maybe that person needs to have their dentures in, because the fuller face where the denture is worn fills the cavity and the seal of that respirator. And so there are factors affecting fit, and we'll look at some of those factors. There are a few more, but I'll bring those up very shortly for you. I love this slide. This slide shows cavalier and maverick attitudes that some of you, and maybe that is happening in your workplace right now. Hopefully it's not, because you're professionals. But certainly the persons in the military, they get fit tested. But as you know, if you've been fit tested yourself, you walk into a room, you either plug into a machine or you have an aerosol sprayed in front of you. In the British Army, they go into a fit testing facility and they're thrown an incapacitant, which will take their knees away and put them to the floor, make their nose run, make their eyes run, and make anything moist on their body sting. Now, wouldn't that be good to know that I've learned how to wear my respirator properly, because I've been put on the floor by an incapacitant? But here in Civvy Street, we learn how to do it more friendly way. Wouldn't your standards be higher if we did it the military way? Well, all I want to say here, face fit testing is important, and it tells you it could be used as a training tool to put your respirator on the correct way every time, and check it and do your maintenance and husbandry and care. It all comes into play, and it doesn't take long. It really doesn't. Employers will give you videos and written instructions which you can request, or if you don't have them, then they will share them with you. So some people are visual learners, some people will find that they prefer to read. I'm a visual learner, so if you don't want to read it too much, then certainly ask the manufacturer of your respirator to maybe supply you with videos, and they all have cleaning videos, how to don the product correctly, how to do maintenance, husbandry and care. So these are the factors affecting fit. You can see starting from the left, we have the person with a beard, and so the mask will have ingress. It will be exposed. It's not fitting all the fatty tissue of that face that it needs to be. Here we have a mask that's compromised. The lady has had extreme dental work. So before, let's say she had a fit test that was working, and now with her teeth, with extreme dental work, the mask we pushed away from her face, the integrity and confidence of the respirator will now be lost. We have the policeman in front of us who's probably not been shown or attended toolbox talks how to don a respirator properly, because this is an FFP mask that has a crown strap and a neck strap, and yet he's wearing it as an ear loop mask. We must make sure that our boys and girls are trained correctly. We've got to make sure that the design by the manufacturer and the maintenance of the manufacturer is suitable for purpose. We've got to make sure that other PPE is compatible with our respirator. And I'm sorry to say, for ladies in the workplace, I would like you not to wear a respirator, because the oils and emollients in makeup will make your face very slippy when wearing a tight fitting respirator. Other factors that a good fit tester worth its salt will look for are these sort of instances when someone arrives for fit testing. There's a few more. I'll put those up now. So a picture paints 1,000 words. A lot of these pictures in front of you say, Daz, I get it. The one that you probably won't get is the cleft chin, is the bottom one on the left. There's a natural channel where that full face respirator, a disposable, reusable half mask, or the full face, that channel may allow or will allow hazard to creep into the face mask, despite how good the product may be. So there are instances where people will be unable to wear a respirator. Hopefully, if these instances are recoverable, like the lady with a bruised or swollen face, that is recoverable. Maybe this lady should be fit tested at another time and date when she has recovered. So to conclude, I'm hoping this has been useful for you. You've got to identify unsuitable face pieces. We must do our job and due diligence to capture unsuitability. We've got to make sure that that respirator is adequate and reduces, and significantly fits the wearer. To look after the well-being and confidence. And remember, it's a legal requirement. Face fit testing is a legal requirement. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I was given 30 minutes and I've taken 28. So I've done very well. We now have time for questions. And while we wait for you to populate your questions box, please be reminded, if you were late joining me, JSP are able to deliver face fit training, whether it be in trainer tester or whether it be for you to have the badge of honor to be fit to fit accredited, qualified, certified. So those courses obviously won't be a day. They will be 3 to 4 days, depending on which course you choose. But I have had great success in getting those students to a very good level. Out of 30 students, I think I've had 1 failure. So I'd like to think that if you're interested in fit testing, please come and join JSP and we can deliver that for you. Great. I can't see any questions being populated just yet. We'll leave it a minute or two in case you're a bit like me, you're a one-finger wizard. Getting those questions in. Someone's typing, so that's great. Wait for that one to come in and I'll answer that question as best as I can. test me, please. This is going to be a long question. Just wait for that to populate. I'll answer it. At the end of the presentation, my details were shared with you, and I work for a company called JSP. So if you need to raise questions when this is closed, then please raise them to JSP, and those questions will get to me. Okay, first question, let's have a quick read. We use xylene-based paint in our spray booths, and we're advised that we use air-fed face shields, not tight-fitting respirators. Does this sound correct? Okay, so usually, not everyone, a spray booth, so not to get lost in translation, I've got to make sure that you are also using LEVs and a type of respirator, whether it be loose or tight fitting. So if you are not, let's say, educated in all the types of respirators, because you can have air fed, powered air, tight fitting, negative powered respirators. So the person, Ryan, the person that has raised that, Ryan, I can't ask you a question because your xylene, if I were to look at what will be suitable for you, if you look at your MSDS section 8.2, it should tell you what type of respirators you should be wearing. If it doesn't, and it's a very poor MSDS, I'm more than happy for you to raise me here at JSP, and we can discuss that, because I can send you some images that if something's lost in translation with me, I don't like that, and so I use images, and we can do that way. But certainly I can answer your question fully in more detail and give you the answer that hopefully that you're looking for. You're welcome, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's no more typing, no more population of questions, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Hopefully that's been useful. And there'll be other webcasts, safety casts by JSP throughout the year. And stay in touch. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you. Goodbye.